Choosing a broadband provider can seem a bit confusing. There's been a heap of new entrants in the market recently, meaning there's now a lot of different providers to choose from, and each of them has different deals, discounts, offers, and contract structures. In this video, we'll go over the 5 things you must know when choosing a broadband provider to help you pick the right ISP for your needs and save money when shopping for broadband. Before we begin, make sure to click the link in the description to go to our broadband deals guide. This article gives a comprehensive explanation of some of the best providers on the market at the moment and the differences between them. And the end of the article also explains important concepts about UK broadband in more detail. So your first step should always be to figure out what broadband providers are available at your address. Unfortunately, you can't use comparison sites for this because they only show providers that are paying them money. Use the links in the description to follow along with what we're about to do and find out which providers are available in your area and what speeds they offer. So the first category of broadband provider is OPENREACH. OPENREACH is owned by BT. You can basically think of them like the BT network, except a lot of other providers, including Sky, Vodafone, Now Broadband, and more, use the OPENREACH network. So it's almost certain that you'll have OPENREACH at your address, meaning you can get broadband from BT, PlusNet, EE, Sky, Now Broadband, and a heap of others. So we've chosen EE as our example OPENREACH provider because they generally offer the best value and their router is a lot better than what other providers offer at the moment. And we'll use this postcode here as our example. So we can see on EE, we can get all these different speed packages. So this is what you'll basically get with most OPENREACH providers. If we go to PlusNet's website, which is another OPENREACH provider, and put in the same postcode, we'll see basically the same plans in terms of the speeds offered. The only difference is EE has this 1.6 gig plan because they're a bit more of a premium provider. The next category of provider, even though it's only a single provider, is Virgin Media. They're another full fiber option, but they have a completely different network to OPENREACH, and they're only available in about half the country. So I've just put in the same postcode and clicked check availability, and it doesn't seem to be working. Like, it's not saying we can't get it, it's just not displaying anything, which doesn't surprise me too much. Virgin Media is lacking a bit in performance at the moment in terms of things like customer service. So let's just assume for this example that Virgin Media isn't available here. It's worth clicking the link in the description to check your postcode, but we'll just assume in this example we can't get Virgin Media. The third category of providers are called ALTNETS. These are new independent companies that have built their own broadband networks, and often they're a lot cheaper than the bigger incumbents, and also faster as well. There are a lot of these different companies, but in the description we've linked to the ones that are definitely worth checking. Apart from these ones we've linked to, you might also like to check ones that you've heard about in your area. We put a few different logos on the screen now with big ALTNETs that you might want to check. But the main 3 we'd look at are Community Fiber, GigaClear, and Hyperoptic. These are the biggest ones, and they generally offer good customer service and fast speeds. So good news for this postcode, we can get Community Fiber, GigaClear isn't available, and it's the same with Hyperoptic. So in this example, our choices are full fiber OPENREACH broadband, which opens up other providers as well as EE like Sky, PlusNet, TalkTalk, BT, Vodafone, and a heap of others, or Community Fiber. So now you know what providers you can choose from. The next thing to figure out is what speed you need. This will allow you to more easily compare different providers and their packages, and avoid wasting money. While 1.6 gigabits would be nice to have, it might not be necessary for most households. To check what internet speed you need, you can use our calculator, which we've also linked to in the description. Just come to this page on our website, then put in some basic details about how you use the internet at home and how many people are online. Then click calculate, and the calculator will give you a rough idea of a minimum download and upload speed you might need. So we can see here, with 6 people online and doing quite a lot of internet activities, you'd want at least 150 megabits. So this means you'd probably be comparing this plan here with Community Fiber's 300 megabit plan, or if you're looking at other OPENREACH providers, they'd all have the same sort of 300 megabit deal as well. So at this point, you can begin comparing prices and seeing which provider offers the best deal, given the speed you need. So with EE, it's £38 a month for example, but only 21 with Community Fiber. This is why step 1 is so important, because if you don't know all the providers you can choose from, you might not get the cheapest prices or the best customer service. Okay, so at this point you have a rough idea of what you need, and it might just be tempting to look for the cheapest prices, meaning in this case, EE would be quite expensive, especially compared to £21 a month that you get with Community Fiber. So the next thing to do is begin eliminating companies that don't have the best customer service. But how do you do this? Fortunately, Ofcom does these big surveys to look at how good different broadband providers' customer service actually is. At the moment, unfortunately, they're only doing them every 2 years, and then doing these little update things in the interim. So from the latest update, they just looked at number of complaints, and you can see Now Broadband, Virgin Media, and Vodafone receive the most complaints. And typically, the more complex a provider is, the more complaints they'll receive, just because there's different moving parts like cable TV that can go wrong. But you might want to eliminate some of these worst providers from your list. If we look at the bigger report, the pattern of Virgin Media and Vodafone underperforming is still here. Vodafone's one of the worst when it comes to how long it takes them to answer the phone when you call them. PlusNet still performs well, like they do here, and Sky is also generally pretty good. So it's up to you what you do with this information. We've linked to the report in the description, but what we'd recommend doing is eliminating a few providers that you think might be a bit risky from a customer service point of view. It's also worth mentioning some of these ALTNETs aren't big enough to be included in these surveys just yet. So what we recommend doing is going to their Trustpilot reviews. You got to be a bit careful with these because sometimes they just prompt happy customers to leave reviews. But we've taken a good look through Community Fibre and Hyperoptics, as well as GigaClears, and we think generally they perform pretty well. The thing to do is look for patterns in the negative reviews. It could be they have a lot of issues with installation, for example. If you can't see any patterns, normally it's just a case of that these companies have got so big that some people are going to have a bad experience. For example, this person's complaining about, I guess, mail drops. So we wouldn't really pay much attention to that. By now, you should have a short list of providers you're considering and a good idea of how to compare them on price, based on the speed you need. So what's the next most important thing to compare them on? Normally, it's going to be their Wi-Fi router. So let's go back to this example, where you're probably looking at the 300 megabit plan on EE, PlusNet, and Community Fibre. EE and Community Fibre both offer a Wi-Fi 6 router, but PlusNet doesn't. Their model is a fair bit more basic. That's why, even though their product is the exact same as EE's basically, meaning it's still OPENREACH 300 megabit full fibre, PlusNet is a fair bit cheaper. So if these are your options, Community Fibre obviously wins because they have a good router and they're a fair bit cheaper. But if the choice was just between PlusNet and EE, and maybe other OPENREACH providers you've thrown into the mix like Vodafone, TalkTalk and BT, we'd mostly focus on weighing up the monthly cost against the router you're getting. PlusNet's router is not bad, it's just not the best for large houses, or houses where you commonly have issues with your Wi-Fi signal. For example, if you have a lot of brick internal walls that Wi-Fi signal can't get through. In that case, it might be worth paying a bit more for EE's router, and maybe also their Wi-Fi add-on to give you better signal in the far reaches of your house. But for small houses and flats, you could probably get away with PlusNet and pay a cheaper price. So the last thing to consider is all the pricing differences that are unique to each provider, apart from the monthly cost. Let's explain what we mean. So most major OPENREACH providers, as well as Virgin Media, will increase your price in the contract. You can see here, EE says that they'll increase it by £3 a month every year, and it's the exact same on PlusNet. On the other hand, with Community Fibre, the price is fixed throughout the contract. Basically, Community Fibre and a lot of the other ALTNETs are being really aggressive with their pricing and offers at the moment, which is what's allowing them to do this. So on the basis of their price increases, and also just their base pricing, Community Fibre wins once again here. But there's other things to consider as well. For example, it's pretty common for providers that also offer mobile phone services to give you discounts and different offers on broadband. For example, if you sign up for EE Broadband, you can get a cheaper price if you then buy an EE SIM plan, and you'll also get unlimited data on your existing EE SIMs. Vodafone does something similar. They just give you a discount on broadband if you're already a Vodafone pay monthly mobile customer. It's important to consider these sort of discounts to ensure you get the best reflection of what you're actually paying with each provider, and to potentially save money. It's also quite common for different providers to offer extra benefits, like these reward cards. Basically, it's just like giving you £50 cash back, offsetting the first month or so of the contract. It can be a bit confusing to go through all these different details. This is why we recommend excluding providers before this stage, firstly based on whether they serve your area, but also their customer service. If you've got your list down to just 4 or 5 providers before this point, it's pretty easy to just go through these details and then figure out which one offers the best value. So which provider did we pick in our example? Here, Community Fibre is a clear winner. They're a lot cheaper, while still offering good customer service and a decent Wi-Fi router. Not to mention, they won't increase your prices mid-contract. Unfortunately, Community Fibre is only available in central London. If you're in London, go to the link in the description and put in your postcode to see if you can get their service. So what if Community Fibre wasn't available? In this example, we've just restricted it to EE and PlusNet to keep things simple, but ideally, you'd probably also want to include a few other OPENREACH providers to get a better comparison, like Vodafone, Sky, and maybe TalkTalk. But in this simplified example, the best provider depends on who's buying. If it's a relatively small house, ALTNETS router will be fine, and their offer, which allows you to save £9 a month, is probably a better choice. On the other hand, for larger houses, EE's router might be worth paying more for, especially if you're an EE mobile customer, and you can take advantage of these benefits, like a free upgrade to unlimited data. Remember, read our Broadband Deals Guide to learn more about the different providers on the market and the differences between them. Just click the link in the description to go to this article on our website, and also click the links in the description to find the different categories of providers that might be available where you are to see which companies you can choose from. And if you have any questions about choosing a broadband provider, leave a comment below and we'll get back to you.